We all know Conor McGregor, one of the most famous UFC fighters on the planet. With his very confident personality, he often got compared to wrestlers. However, he wasn't really nice with the WWE superstars whom he has called wimps, even saying John Cena is a failed bodybuilder. But all these rants didn't stay unanswered. It's a pleasure to meet you on the Wrestling Paradise to discover the most brutal attacks of WWE superstars against Conor McGregor. Are you ready to be shocked when you learn what Brock Lesnar compared the Irishman to? Do you want to know more about the heated exchanges he had with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman? Do you want to find out how Randy Orton renamed him? And are you curious to learn which wrestler blames Conor for copying him? You are at the right place, because in our video we are going to see all the times when wrestlers have terminated the Notorious one, and you are going to be shocked. You are on the Wrestling Paradise, WWE superstars versus Conor McGregor. Let's go. In 2016, Conor McGregor was about to face Nate Diaz for the second time when he had the bad idea to provoke the WWE wrestlers. In a tweet, Conor claimed that he could slap the head off the entire roster of the federation. As you can imagine, it was a statement that caused some reactions, and McGregor may have regretted his tweet after that. From Kurt Angle, Roman Reigns and MVP to Randy Orton and Chris Jericho, no wrestler appreciated his comments, which are disrespectful. The former Olympic champion and high-level wrestler, who also succeeded in the WWE, Kurt Angle, replied this to Conor McGregor. Very funny little guy. Why don't you get your head out of Dana White's ass? If you didn't know, Dana White is UFC's big boss, the largest MMA organization in the world, in which Conor McGregor became famous. It should be noted that Bubba Ray Dudley, another wrestler, reacted to Kurt Angle's tweet. I would pay good money to see Kurt Angle stretch the piss out of Conor McGregor and make him tap #It'sTrue. For your information, "It's true" was Kurt Angle's catchphrase. When we know that McGregor was always in trouble against wrestling experts, we can think he should better avoid a fight against Kurt Angle. On the same occasion, the legend Chris Jericho responded to the Irishman's attacks by saying, "Sorry pal, no disrespect to you, but my fights are legit, unlike the fixed fights you have in UFC. I'll embarrass you." MVP, who was the highest paid wrestler on the SmackDown show in the early 2000s and who was Bobby Lashley's manager when he was WWE champion, also reacted. Here's what he wrote when Conor McGregor said that he would destroy wrestlers. "The way Nate Diaz stopped and slapped you or not, it was a little clash that reminded that Conor got dominated in his first match against Diaz that he lost." We can also mention JBL's reaction, one of the best villains in sports entertainment in the early 2000s. "Hey Conor, if you put on some weight, you might make WWE's cruiserweight division. You should know that weight category once existed in the federation with athletes under 220 pounds could be, while the biggest stars are at least 260 pounds in general." In the same idea, we can mention AJ Styles, who said that Conor McGregor could do well in the featherweight category if only the federation had one. The Irishman was also destroyed by the members of the New Day team. Kofi Kingston said, "Yikes, looks like Conor could really use a bowl of Booty-O's right about now. Someone hook him up." You should know that Booty-O's are the cereals that were inspired by the New Day. As for Big E, here's what he answered. "Would you prefer to find us individually or have us all line up at once? I know your time is valuable, sir." One of the best reactions came from Sasha Banks, who also wrestles under the name Mercedes Moné. In addition to telling him to come face them, she explained Conor McGregor fights only 2 times a year, and that he is on vacation the rest of the time. But the wrestlers are in the ring every day. She said that he had already complained about his schedule and the media appearances he had to make. She would really like to see him in the ring and know if he would be able to withstand the overloaded schedule of a WWE superstar. She concluded by saying he could cry, but that wrestlers are better than him, that you have to be a real badass to do their job, and that she would kick his ass. One wrestler who totally destroyed Conor McGregor is Brock Lesnar. He is one of the few who has succeeded in pro wrestling and in the UFC. He has already won the World Heavyweight Championship in Dana White's organization, with victories against Randy Couture, Frank Mir and Shane Carwin in his fighting career. When someone asked him if he would like to face Conor McGregor in a WWE ring, Brock Lesnar had a savage answer. He said his turds are bigger than this kid. According to him, people play video games and live in a world disconnected from reality. Brock weighs 290 pounds, Conor 145 if he takes his cereal in the morning. Lesnar said he invites McGregor to tell him everything he said to his face. Otherwise, Conor should stop talking. Brock reminded everyone that he came in McGregor's world and had great success. If Conor is so strong, he should come in the WWE universe. A clear and common sense response from the man who victimized his rivals in pro wrestling and in the octagon. When Conor McGregor was going to face Dustin Poirier at UFC 257, the wrestler Drew McIntyre did not hesitate to do a little clash to get the Irishman's attention. He used a meme in which we saw the politician Bernie Sanders submitting Conor McGregor. This picture was obviously inspired by the day Khabib Nurmagomedov made him tap out.
I'm very hungry.
So am I.
Thank you.
Are you hot?
Huh?
He was wishing him good luck, calling him Mac Tapper. It's a nickname that refers to the fact Conor already tapped out in the past. It's the most humiliating way to lose when you give up. McGregor will not react to it, which can be understandable since he lost this fight to Dustin Poirier. In the WWE, the most famous Irishman is Sheamus, and he has already been the Federation's champion. It seemed inevitable that Conor McGregor and him would trade barbs.
Don't even know the guy.
This is what happened in 2014 in a tasty exchange on social media. After Conor said in an interview that he would easily kick Sheamus's butt in a real match, the latter will not stay silent. McGregor was telling him to set up a tag team match between Brock Lesnar and Conor on one side, Sheamus and a partner of his choice. He predicted the wrestler would end up without teeth and with a broken nose. He nicknamed him Celtic Phony, suggesting that everything is fake about him. Sheamus will say that the last guy Conor knocked out fell while he barely touched him. Conor will answer that sounds more like pro wrestling. They put on tight briefs and spank men for a living. McGregor said he will kick his butt and that they will have a whiskey after that. It seemed like they were finally becoming friends. But in 2016, Sheamus responded to Conor's provocations by saying never show a Jack Russell a mirror. It thinks it's a majestic Irish wolfhound. Really, just an annoying wee yapper trying to sell tickets. Randy Orton is one of the greatest WWE legends, with his famous RKO and his moments of pure madness.
Randy Orton!
When Conor McGregor openly disrespected the wrestlers and Orton was asked if he was ready to try his luck in the UFC, he had an honest answer. He wouldn't try to fight in the UFC unless it was against the Irish dwarf, as he calls him, calling him Conor McDonald. As if that wasn't enough, here's what he said in 2017 when someone asked him whether he would destroy Conor in a wrestling ring. If he gains 120 pounds, I'm here. Until then, 205 Live, bro. For your information, 205 Live was the show in which the WWE sends its lightest athletes, a venomous viper. In pro wrestling, there is an Irish woman who has been successful. Becky Lynch, the one who is nicknamed the Man, did a tweet in 2018 after an article compared her to McGregor. She declared that she was not inspired by him. They are obviously from the same country, but if Conor got within 2 miles close to her, she would break this connection and his arm in 3 seconds. According to her, it would be too tempting and he would understand it perfectly. Then they would have a glass of proper 12 together Conor McGregor's whiskey brand. It should be noted that in 2016, she was happy to highlight the fact she was chosen as the best sportswoman in front of Conor at the 98 FM Best of Dublin Awards. That was already a hell of a performance. A wrestler who didn't appreciate Conor McGregor's provocations to pro wrestling is the world's strongest man, Mark Henry.
That's what I do.
Hang on, because here is what he answered, not holding back. He said Conor is not a wrestling fan. He thinks he said completely inappropriate things. Then he invited any 145-pound guy to come fight him. He promised he would rip his skin off. In his opinion, there are 50 guys in the WWE locker room who would destroy Conor. He thinks we shouldn't believe for a second that a 145-pound guy would survive against Braun Strowman. He said a wrestler such as Chad Gable would kill him. He thinks he would make Conor scream for his mother. This statement of Mark Henry was clear, to say the least. Roman Reigns has been the biggest pro wrestling star for several years. With his special counsel Paul Heyman, he is one of the big names that everyone wants to face.
Acknowledge me!
When Conor McGregor disrespected the wrestlers, Roman Reigns was quick to respond, and in a very nice way. You're the size of my leg. Shut up. Obviously, being 6'3" and 280 pounds, which is 7 inches, and at least 100 pounds more than Conor, Roman Reigns could afford to say that. A few years later, when the Irishman studied the possibility of coming to face Roman in wrestling, Paul Heyman would react by saying that Conor McGregor was just a Roman Reigns wannabe, that he would get destroyed, and that he was a clown. When the Irishman called him Grandpa, Paul Heyman said that Conor McGregor might not even live to 57 with his lifestyle. The Irishman will surely have understood it. It is better not to play games with the tribal chief. Finally, we can talk about the attacks that Ric Flair directed at Conor McGregor. You should know that Flair is perhaps the greatest wrestler of all time, a legend that has inspired everybody. Seeing the Irishman disparage wrestling really didn't please him. especially since McGregor has a style that looks a lot like Flair's, in clothes as in arrogance. Here's what he said. "Coming from a guy who built a career copying my persona, I expected the type of class we get from Ronda Rousey or Anderson Silva. After Nate Diaz finishes you again, I dare you to try guys like Dolph Ziggler, Brock Lesnar or Fit Finlay. Oh, you're welcome for your gimmick." He said that anyone who doubts Dolph Ziggler can dominate Conor should go on Google and look at his achievements. And that was it for this verbal war between the WWE superstars and Conor McGregor. As we could see, it was a bad idea to disrespect wrestlers, but it's important to keep in mind that the Irishman is smart. He understood that he must attract maximum attention to promote his fights and make maximum money. In the end, his trash talking is effective and makes us want to see him fight to eventually be destroyed. For sure, he is made for pro wrestling, at least in terms of personality. It makes me offer you a debate. What rivalries do you imagine for Conor McGregor in the WWE? Come and give your opinion. It will be exciting to exchange our points of view in the comments. We can say that Conor McGregor really is unique. I hope you had a good time watching this video, and I invite you to stay on the paradise of wrestling to look at some other ones. See you right away.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so. What?